We are rapidly approaching the trade deadline here in our Madden 24 Chargers franchise, which means we have one final opportunity to evaluate our roster. We're 3-3 here in Week 7, a game behind the Broncos, who currently lead the AFC West, and half a game behind the Chiefs, who sit in second. Currently have the second-ranked offense in the NFL, but the 31st ranked defense. Now, some teams, as we've seen with the Chiefs, have already had their bye. So that is going to be manipulating the statistics slightly. But after a slow start to the year, Justin Herbert really has kicked on. He's up to almost 1,350 yards on the season now. 12 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions for a 60% completion rate. And we have also managed to establish a strong run game under new head coach Jim Harbaugh. J.K. Dobbins and Kamani Vidal pairing for over 120 yards per game on average so far this year. But with the exception of Ladd McConkey, who's having a fantastic rookie campaign, 38 catches for 451 yards and 6 touchdowns so far, we're really struggling to build a strong passing game. Josh Palmer only has 13 catches on the year for 186 yards. Quentin Johnston, even worse, 8 for 150. He is averaging 18.8 yards per reception, and he does have 2 touchdowns on the year. So if we can find him a little bit more often, I think we can turn Quentin Johnston's pretty disastrous young career around. And with the trade deadline just around the corner, we are going to add to the receiving core via Wan'Dale Robinson from the Giants. We want Quentin Johnston to play primarily on the outside, and the same goes for Ladd McConkey. So Wan'Dale Robinson is a perfect fit as a slot-only guy. Catching as an 84, catching traffic as a 79. Those could certainly be improved. But he does have 92 agility, 90 change of direction, and his speed and acceleration is not too bad either. So the arrival of Wan'Dale will bump Josh Palmer even further down the depth chart, and we pick him up for just a 6th round pick. We will be making some more trades next week ahead of the Week 9 deadline, but for now we have a Week 7 matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get into. We didn't have a huge amount of success with this approach last week, but we are going to try and defend the short pass, not against Kyle Trask, but against Baker Mayfield, and we're going to try and throw it deep once more, establish the run, pick some deep shots down the field when the opportunity arises. We will also try to get 15 first downs. We will try to find 300 offensive yards, allow 24 points or less, and we will try to get 2 more passing touchdowns with Justin Herbert and hope his good start to the season can continue. So it looks like we have a clean slate on offense ahead of this one, which is good to see, and fingers crossed we are fully healthy on the defensive side of the ball as well. Nobody currently on the injury report, so we will have a full-strength 53-man roster to work with. Just the one upgrade heading into the game, and conveniently it is for Wan'Dale Robinson. Likely going to go with either playmaker or slot. I'd like to get that catching traffic up into the 80s at the very least, so I imagine slot is probably going to be our best possible way of doing that. He's only a handful of XP away from another upgrade as well. +1 agility, +2 catching traffic, and +1 medium route is not bad at all. So we go up to 81 catching traffic, agility all the way up to a 93 now. So we'll see what Wan'Dale can do here against the Buccaneers in his Chargers debut. So without further ado, let's head over to Raymond James Stadium and see if we can get back in the win column for the 2nd consecutive week. So up in the booth for this one, we do get to kick to the Bucs to begin the game. So we'll receive heading out for the second half, which is always the way you prefer it to be, and it's a deep kick to the Bucs receiver deep in the end zone. And it is going to be Baker Mayfield rather than Kyle Trask to lead the Bucs out. It looks like a muggy, rainy day at Raymond James. I'm not sure what these season stats are always about. It always shows such limited stats before the game. But Baker Mayfield is and has been the starter for the Buccaneers. And we will look to disrupt him early and often here as we try and get back in the win column. It's going to be a run to begin the game, though. Junior Colson there to make the tackle alongside Derwin James. Having a fantastic season, Junior Colson. 2 rookies looking like they could take offensive and defensive rookie of the year in Ladd McConkey and Junior Colson. So hopefully the breakout of Each of those players continues here today. And I'm not sure who I'm on. I'm on Joey Bosa, and it's a great catch. Almost behind him. Not sure who the receiver is. It's Rachaad White out of the backfield with a 13-yard catch to move the chains for the Bucs. So the Bucs already at their 45-yard line. It's going to be a quick throw out into the flat by Baker Mayfield. And a big tackle by the safety coming up to stop the Bucs receiver in his tracks. It was Mike Evans catching the screen pass. And we're going to have to try and do a better job this week than we did last week. Really unable to stop the Steelers almost at all. But Junior Colson, as he has done so often so far this season, is in for a sack. It was play action from the Buccaneers. And Junior Colson was having none of it. Made a beeline for Baker Mayfield. And he's forced the Buccaneers back to a 3rd and 12 situation. And it's good coverage down the field. Forces Baker Mayfield to throw the ball away. And we're going to force a punt from the Buccaneers on their first drive of the game. Excellent start for this defense, who, as we saw before the game, are currently ranked 31st in the NFL. As we said, though, some teams have already had their bye, like the Chiefs. So that is throwing those numbers off slightly. But we certainly haven't been great on defense. Some of that has been our offense, though. Offense hasn't been, or at least wasn't, clicking into full gear early in the season, and it was sending the defensive unit out onto the field far more often than you would like to see. But Justin Herbert really turning things around now. 4 touchdowns to 1 interception is the ratio at the moment. That's an excellent ratio. So we will see how Wan'Dale Robinson looks in the slot here today, as Justin Herbert immediately looks for Quentin Johnston downfield. And is that not pass interference? It looked to me as though the Bucs cornerback made contact with Quentin Johnston before he was able to receive the pass. And we're going to hit Wan'Dale immediately, and he drops the ball immediately. Fantastic. Just traded for the guy. We try and hit him with our second target of the game, and he puts the ball on the ground for pretty much no reason. And so immediately we are in a 3rd and 10 situation. We're going to look for Wan'Dale again, though, and he has opened up the middle, hits the seam, and is already up and over the halfway line and into Bucs territory. Back-to-back targets for Wan'Dale Robinson. He drops the first. He takes full advantage of the second. One thing I did neglect to consider was that we don't have a fully healthy squad, as that's a big catch by Hayden Hurst. Gets absolutely leveled by the Bucs safety, but does manage to bring in the pass before. So we are actually missing a big player in Rashawn Slater. So it's Jordan Salyer playing left tackle for us today. Joe Alt, of course, on the right-hand side, as the blocks immediately shaped up nicely, but quickly disintegrated as the Bucs made a beeline for J.K. Dobbins and managed to evade those blocks somehow. But J.K. Dobbins saw that playing out and made a nice adjustment to come back inside. And we're actually going to switch to a run here. Vita Vea, the nose tackle for the Bucs, immediately disengages. We do gain a yard with J.K. Dobbins. And we're going to double team Vita Vea here as we look. Likely for Quentin Johnston at the back of the end zone. I think we may have him. Justin Herbert hit as he threw it, though. And it is eventually swatted away in the back corner of the end zone. If we could have just got that pass away a tick sooner, I think potentially Justin Herbert would have had a touchdown there. But let's see what we can do with this pistol play that we like to run so much in these kinds of areas of the field. There's Ladd McConkey, swatted away again. Fantastic coverage by Jamel Dean this time. We've not seen that play be covered so well all season. Fantastic coverage from the Bucs cornerback, and we're going to have to kick a field goal rather than punch it in for a touchdown. But we will take a 3-0 lead here. Good stand from the defense to force the Bucs off the field. And we do score with our opening drive, so early advantage here. So Baker Mayfield and the Bucs come out for their second drive of the game. And again, it's going to be a run to Rachaad White. All over that one, though. Only 2 yards this time. Safety coming up to make the tackle. The cornerback there as well. And we'll see what we can do here on 2nd and 8. Couple of star players on this left-hand side for the Bucks. And Rachaad White shrugs off that hit stick. Jukes away to the right side as well. And Miles Jack eventually makes the tackle. Probably should have just tried to wrap up there, rather than trying to force the ball out with a hit stick fumble or something similar. So it's going to bring up a 1st and 10 for the Bucks beyond midfield. We're going to send a bit of heat at Baker Mayfield. And there's going to be a flag on the play. I'm not sure what this is going to be. Potentially a late hit on Baker Mayfield. And it is going to be roughing the passer. Derwin James was headed like a missile towards Baker Mayfield. And the Bucks are going to get the ball all the way up at the 11. That's a really, really big mistake from our star safety. So we definitely have our work cut out for us if we are going to prevent the Bucks from scoring again here. Done a good job to swallow up Rachaad White again. Miles Jack with the tackle once more. But it is a 2nd and 7 for the Buccaneers as they draw close to our end zone. Rachaad White looking very, very shifty. Baker Mayfield again hands it off. Again, a minimal gain. And we will have a chance to hold the Bucks to just 3. But it's going to be a catch. And it's going to be a 1st and goal. K. Dotton with the catch on the verge of the end zone. Standing almost on the white of the lines. But we do manage to keep him out. But somehow there's enough space between the 1st down marker and the end zone to bring up a fresh set of downs for the Bucks. And we're going to commit to the run up the middle. Derwin James has got to bring down Rachaad White. And it's actually Lane who does so. And we force the Bucks back 3 yards on that one. Back to the 4. So it's going to be a 2nd and goal for the Bucks. And again, it's going to be a target for, I think, one of the tight ends. Not K. Dotton this time. But regardless, Diane Henley is there to force the ball 3. And so a 3rd and goal for the Bucks, trying desperately to keep them out of the end zone at the very least. And how is that not an interception? I was right there. I read that all the way. I was using Miles Jack on the inside there, and I was spamming Y. And how Baker Mayfield has fit that in, I do not know. Chris Godwin makes the catch. And the Bucks do have a touchdown. But I was there. Look at me lurking with Miles Jack. I'm spamming Y. He's thrown it straight at me. And I just get no animation whatsoever. I'm not sure what more you can do in that situation. I covered that almost perfectly. I'm absolutely spamming intercept. And I just get no reaction from Miles Jack. And the Bucks take the lead. 7-3 here in the 1st quarter. And the Bucks will kick it to Darius Davis, who will have a chance to return. Not the best catch. Didn't really set him up to take the ball out in stride. But Justin Herbert will lead the Chargers out for the 2nd drive of the game early here. And we'll see what we can do on the ground here. On our 2nd drive of the game, we can be absolutely buried with J.K. Dobbins. So 2nd and 8. And we're looking for Robert Tonyan underneath. And we do indeed find him. Only a couple there, though. 4 yards brings up a 3rd and 4. And the Bucks are going to come out in a double mug look. They are going to drop out of that particular front, though. We do find J.K. Dobbins on the check down, but Jamel Dean made a couple of big plays here already. And that one forces us into a 4th and 5, which we are going to have to punt from. And the Bucks, of course, will have a chance to return. Can we find that outside lane? Not quite. Big hit. But the Bucks return man, Palmer, manages to hang on to the ball. And Baker Mayfield will begin a 3rd drive here in the 1st quarter. Bucks having a lot of the ball. And we are going to send some heat here, but we're going to have to be careful not to over-pursue, because the Bucks have been using the run fairly heavily here today. So we don't want to get too far upfield and leave Rachaad White too much room to roam in behind. Decent enough game for the Bucks. Brings up a 2nd and 3. Going to take on Tristan Wirfs with Khalil Mack, but Chris Godwin wide open in the flat. And we definitely do have our work cut out for us against these Buccaneers receivers as the 1st quarter comes to an end. Fairly even game so far. But the Bucks managing to establish some kind of a run game with 38 rushing yards in that first quarter. We have only 3. But we are going to have our hands full. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. 2 very, very good receivers for the Bucks. We have... Oh, Junior Colson is so close. Again, I thought I provided perfect coverage there. But with Junior Colson, the linebacker, in coverage on Mike Evans, is going to be a mismatch. I think we did just about as much as we could. But as I was saying, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, we only really have Asante Samuel, and he can't cover them both. Another run for the Bucks. Miles Jack there to make a tackle. Tackle made almost immediately, but the Bucks offensive line dominating right now, and even though we do manage to bring down Rachaad White immediately, it's still a 4-yard gain, which is not insignificant. Same again here. Miles Jack is there to wrap up Rachaad White. This time he does force him back. 2-yard loss on the play. And what an addition he's been to the side, Miles Jack. We picked him up as a free agent late in the process. Pressure from Joey Bosa. Can he get there? Yes, he can. Taken down at the 40-yard line, Baker Mayfield. Joey Bosa being our primary source of pressure so far this season. He was a potential trade or even cut candidate in the offseason. The Chargers reworked his deal, kept him around, and I think we're going to do the same. He's not that old. I believe he's not even 30 yet. I think 29 here. So we are... I think he'll be good for the duration of our rebuild. And with so little behind him on the defensive line, what a punt that is, by the way. Pins us inside the 10. With so little behind him on the defensive line, we're going to have to keep him as the cornerstone of that particular unit. Khalil Mack, however, I am looking to trade next week. So the Bucks again coming out in that double mug look. And again, we have our receiver wide open in the seam. They are completely vacating that area of the field, the Bucks. Potentially Hayden Hurst could have took that in stride and gained a few more yards, but just move the chains immediately on first down and gets us out of the shadows of our own goalposts. So we'll try and establish the run game of our own here, and J.K. Dobbins manages to find some space on that left-hand side. Block shape up well for him this time, and he gains 7. And we'll go play action here on second down. Not necessarily a shot play. And there's nothing there, really, as Justin Herbert takes it out of bounds for no gain. We almost had the fullback releasing out into the flat, but he was getting all kinds of caught up. We're going to go play action on back-to-back plays here. Just trying to hit the tight end out in the flat, and Hayden Hurst, fantastic catch, and managed to break 2 tackles to gain the first down. That was not an easy conversion for Hayden Hurst. And they won't surely predict us going play action 3 plays in a row. Deep down the field for Justin Herbert in search of Quentin Johnston. Couldn't quite get enough on it to hit the receiver in stride. Quentin Johnston did manage to get behind the defense, but Justin Herbert couldn't quite put enough on it. And he's had targets this year, Quentin Johnston. Just hasn't really managed to have too many receptions. Wan'Dale Robinson gets free, though, and manages to gain almost 10 yards, 3rd and inches. And we are right at midfield. And we are going to go for it here if we do not pick up the conversion. Quentin Johnston downfield is open once more. Justin Herbert finds it this time and it's knocked out. Quentin Johnston had 2 hands on that. And the defensive back Hayes knocks it out before Johnston can take it to the ground. The assistant coach wants us to punt, but we took that shot with the knowledge that we would be trying to punch it in, or trying to convert here on 4th and inches. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Going to try and run, well, I was going to say away from Vita Vea, but we don't really have that option. Donald Parham motions over to the left side, and a massive hole for J.K. Dobbins, who not only manages to convert for the first, but takes it right up to the Tampa Bay 34-yard line. And we've actually taken a delay of game, so we are on a 1st and 15 here on the 39-yard line of the Bucks. Really good blocking up front once more. Allows J.K. Dobbins to bring it back up to the 29-yard line. 10-yard gain. Going to try and hit Hayden Hurst up the seam. He's been a fantastic receiver for us so far today. And the Bucks have not been covering that area of the field particularly well. They do a slightly better job that time. Hayden Hurst was open, but again, the ball is knocked away before he's able to bring it in. Going to look for J.K. Dobbins once more, this time on the screen. And Justin Herbert gets leveled before he can even get the ball away. Logan Hall in for the sack. Not really sure how the pressure got in so quickly or how Justin Herbert couldn't release the ball quickly enough. And he's sacked way back at the 41-yard line. And we're going to be out of field goal range even. We're going to have to punt to the Bucks. That is a disastrous play. We are, however, going to have a chance to pin the Buccaneers deep. That's into the end zone, though. We're trying to find that coffin corner right by the pylon. It's a wayward punt, though, and the Bucks will start from the 20. So the Bucks definitely have the edge here on both offense and defense. And again, the ball has been thrown straight at me. I am spamming intercept. Allow the defender, whoever it is, linebacker, defensive back, to put their hands up and catch the ball, please. So the Bucks with a double stack, one left, one right. I'm not convinced the ball isn't going to Rashad White, though, and it doesn't. It goes to Cade Otton, and safety makes the tackle. It's Lane once more, bringing down Cade Otton, and that saves a touchdown. And the Bucks again are moving the ball on our pretty treacherous defense. Miles Jack again there to make the tackle. What a game he's having. What a season he's having. So it's going to be a 2nd and 7 for the Bucks. Baker Mayfield changing the play at the line of scrimmage. We're going to stick in the coverage that we are in. And it's going to be another run to the right this time. And it's Morgan Fox there to make the tackle. So 3rd and 6 for the Bucks. If we can stop them here, we'll force them to pump back to us. Very, very close game in terms of the scoreline. Force it out. Come on, man. We've seen twice already today that the ball is knocked out whenever the CPU gets that kind of hit at the catch point. We don't get the same kind of advantage. And instead it's going to be another fresh set of downs for the Bucks. Going to come out in dime here. Khalil Mack unable to beat Tristan Wirfs. And somehow that's not offensive pass interference either. The receiver just absolutely throws our defensive back pretty much to the ground. Absolutely nothing called. And it's going to be another fresh set of downs for the Bucks as they near our red zone yet again here. Decent enough coverage forces just a 4-yard gain to Chris Godwin. So 2nd and 6. Bucks moving far more easily than I would like, and that's a really good route by Chris Godwin. There's a really good broken tackle as well. Tried to lay the wood with the safety, but Chris Godwin ran a beautiful route there. Took me completely out of the play with Junior Colson. I thought he was going out to the corner, and he just cuts it inside on the double move. Completely sold me. So again, we are trying desperately to keep the Bucks out of the end zone, but again, it's not looking great. It's a run left. Can we get there? Yes, we can with Khalil Mack. Really, really good tackle saves. A touchdown on 1st down at the very least. And the Buccaneers use a timeout. I don't like the look of that, because does that mean that they knew that we had committed to the run there? Doesn't matter. We didn't commit to the run the second time, but we did stop Rashad White anyway. Khalil Mack there again. Brings up a 3rd and goal. As the second quarter ticks away, somehow we are pretty much at half-time already in this game. It's been such a fast-paced game so far. Again, I'm not going to commit to the run on 3rd and goal. It's going to be another run play, and Junior Colson is there, and he's going to absolutely bury Rashad White. And the seconds will continue to kick off the clock. But I think we're just going to allow the Buccaneers the touchdown, the field goal rather. We will come out and receive in the second half, and we will hope to put a touchdown of our own on the board and tie things up. So back out for the second half at Raymond James. Just a 10-3 game so far. Lowest scoring of the season by far. And Darius Davis will just take the touchback in the end zone. And Justin Herbert will come out to try and put a touchdown on the board here for the first time. So looking to get things going on offense as Hayden Hurst makes the grab. Do not be a hold. Hayden Hurst breaks away, and if this flag is on the defense, we are going to have a touchdown here because Hayden Hurst somehow manages to stay on his feet, and it is going to be on the offense. We have no option to celebrate. That means it's coming back, and we do get the ball into the end zone for the first time today, but it's not going to count for anything as Jordan Salia gets whistled for a hold. Jamari Salia. Why did I think his name was Jordan? Regardless, he's in for Rashawn Slater today. And rather than having a touchdown, we are going to be 10 yards behind here on 1st and 20. Really frustrating start to this second half. J.K. Dobbins manages to find a hole up the middle, though. And he gets everything from that penalty back and more. So we'll see what we can do here on 2nd and 9. Just going to try and hit the underneath receiver, which is Darius Davis. Again, we were looking Quentin Johnston deep down the field, but the safety did stay towards that side of the field. And it's going to be a 3rd and 3, so immediately a big play to start the half. And we had to be really patient there because there was, again, all kinds of bumping going on. Quentin Johnston held up on numerous Bucs players, but eventually he does manage to break free, just as 3 Bucs defenders were honing in on Justin Herbert. Quentin Johnston stands strong, makes the grab, goes down and moves the chains. We're going to go read option here on 1st down, and we've made entirely the wrong decision. Justin Herbert keeps it, gets blown up, loses a yard. That could have gone so much worse, though. And if our blocking shapes up here, I think we're really going to like what we can get on this play. And indeed it does. And J.K. Dobbins is going to bring up a 3rd and inches on the little swing screen. So another big opportunity for the Bucs. And another big play on which we are going to have to convert. And Andrew Norwell does just enough to climb to the 2nd level and clear enough space for J.K. Dobbins to move the chains once more. Again, we're going to run left with J.K. Dobbins. Robert Tunyon can't get up to the 2nd level. Dobbins does actually gain a yard. I thought potentially he would have lost one there. Merriweather with the tackle. So a 2nd and 9 into Bucs territory. We've got the tight end out in the flat. Can he break a tackle? No, he can't. Very minimal gain brings up a 3rd and 7. And the Bucs again showing that double mug look. They've really liked that here today. Quentin Johnston gets open, makes the grab. That's what we need to see from Quentin Johnston. He's our primary, well, we're trying to make him our primary deep receiver. He's got the size, he's got the speed. He just needs to develop technically. And it's been Ladd McConkey who hasn't been able to find the ball here today, but he finds it there and he's into the end zone for another touchdown, his 7th of the season. He's had a quiet game so far. Quentin Johnston getting the majority of the targets. Wan'Dale Robinson featuring in the game as well. But all it takes is one reception for Ladd McConkey to find the end zone. And we had that touchdown that we were looking for. And we have our opportunity to tie the game up. No problem for Will Lutz to put that extra point on the board. And it is going to be a 10-10 game here halfway through the 3rd quarter. We have adjusted our defensive game plan for this 2nd half. And we are instead going to try and defend the deep pass. As that's, again, Cade Otton on the reception out in the flat. So just trying to keep everything in front of us here in the 2nd half. We did a decent job of that in the 1st. But I think we managed to corral the Tampa Bay running game enough that we can feel comfortable taking a bit more of an aggressive approach. Or at least we can feel comfortable in the knowledge that we can deal with their run game enough that we can focus more on taking away those big plays. They do move the change, though. It's going to be another run to Rachaad White. And we are doing not such a good job of stopping their run game, potentially. That is because we are not focusing so much on those short areas of the field anymore. And we'll show the Buccaneers the same double mug look that they have been showing us throughout the game so far, really. And it is going to be another run to Rashad White, and it is another big tackle by the safety, but not before Rashad White can cross the line to gain. So a 1st and 10 once more for the Bucks. Again, Baker Mayfield finds a receiver out in the flat. We whiff on the hit stick, and Rashad White has been as much of a danger through the air as he has been on the ground. 2 receptions for 24 yards. Actually, I thought he had more than that. So another fresh set of downs for the Bucks. But again, we're going to be in for the sack, and we had a chance to jump on the ball there as Baker Mayfield fumbled it. Khalil Mack was in for the sack. Miles Jack, rather, was in for the sack. Diane Henley had a chance to jump on the ball, and he jumped on Baker Mayfield instead. And the Bucks recover. They do lose significant amount of yards. 2nd and 22. But crucially, they don't lose the ball. I'm going to send a little bit of heat at Baker Mayfield here to try and force the ball free. It's actually going to be a draw play to Rashad White, and we need to stop him here, or he's going to get all of those yards back. And he brings it all the way back to a 3rd and 6. That's not good enough defensively. We have to do a better job there, because we had a real opportunity to force the Bucks into another punting situation. Can we get back to Rashad White? Interception! It's Christian Fulton, rather. Is he going to have the speed to get to the end zone? Only Baker Mayfield to beat. Yes, he is. And it's a defensive touchdown, our first of the season. Baker Mayfield with a big mistake. Again, they run that double stack look. And Christian Fulton just hangs around in the flat, looking for Chris Godwin, was Baker Mayfield. Christian Fulton read it all the way, went up and made the grab. And it's another touchdown, this time for the defense, to give us the lead in the game. The first turnover of the game. We almost had one shortly before, as we managed to force the fumble. Couldn't jump onto the ball, though. Christian Fulton comes up big, and we're looking for a cornerback to really step up opposite Asante Samuel. Maybe Christian Fulton has begun to do that here. So he comes away with his first interception of the season. And we're going to kick back to the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers, huge time of possession so far. But when that is a result of back-to-back drives due to a turnover, you don't mind that at all. I'm still in 2 minds about really how to build out this defense, whether we want to take a zone approach or whether we want to go more man coverage. I've got to stay tighter to Rashad White there. I was giving him a bit of a bit of distance in the coverage because I could see that pressure was getting home. But Baker Mayfield does manage to get the ball away. And it does bring up a 2nd and 6, and I cannot find who I'm on. Big tackle. 3rd and 1 as Rashad White has carried the ball. Is that Darius Leonard? Is it Darius Leonard who made that tackle? I think it was. Why is Darius Leonard on our team? Okay, it wasn't Darius Leonard. It was Deane Leonard, who, again, is not a player that I was really aware was on our team because he is, a 66 overall cornerback who's been in the league for 2 years. But I saw a player on the sideline who looked like Darius Leonard, like the face scan. But Deane Leonard makes the tackle. And it has just occurred to me that his name in the game is not going to be Darius anymore. It's going to be Shaq, isn't it? So it would be S. Leonard rather than D. Give me an interception. Again, I've read that perfectly with Miles Jack. Absolutely lurking in coverage on Chris Godwin. And again, this time, to be fair, it clanks off Miles Jack's hands. We do at least get an animation where he attempted to make the interception. But we get a turnover. On the very next drive, we force a punt away. And one play is going to take us to the end of the 3rd quarter here. And we're going to enter the final quarter of the game with the lead. So we could well be back in the win column. Still a long way to go in this game, as Gus Edwards finds just 2 yards on the carry. So still a lot to do here in this game if we are going to win. And a conversion here would be a decent start. Hayden Hurst again makes the grab. He's been active for us here today, Hayden Hurst. But it does bring up a 3rd and 3 that we're going to need to convert. And we will try to do that by finding J.K. Dobbins on another screen. Justin Herbert does manage to get this one away. Corey Lindsley leads the way with the blocks, allowing J.K. Dobbins to just about evade the Bucs defenders for long enough to move the chains. And I'm not sure how much I love this with the Bucs pressing us so high at the line of scrimmage. I think potentially we'll just see if Quentin Johnston can find any space on the corner route, which he has. Justin Herbert hits him in stride. Quentin Johnston doesn't quite have the speed to break away from the Bucs cornerback before he's tackled to the ground. But it is another big reception for Quentin Johnston. And we are deep into Bucs territory now, into the 4th quarter, already with the lead. And we'll bring Kamani Vidal in for his first snaps of the game. Haven't really had an opportunity to bring him in just yet, but he immediately grabs 9 as Andrew Norwell forces him forward. Andrew Norwell, another player who's been an excellent addition for us. Another late addition in free agency, but he has been one of the standouts really on this offensive line. And I think we have the Bucs exactly where we want them again. They have left the middle area of the field open on so many occasions today. And how has that not got over the head of McCollum? Wan'Dale Robinson was in for a touchdown. Somehow McCollum manages to leap off the ground and grab that before it was able to sail over his head and into the hands of Wan'Dale Robinson. Wan'Dale Robinson bizarrely now being double teamed in man coverage on the left-hand side of the formation. We're going to run away from Vita Vea and try and convert here. Really good blocks, this time from Zion Johnson. He's had a pretty quiet season so far, to be fair. He's not been as impressive as Andrew Norwell, but he certainly hasn't been a liability on the offensive line by any means. This time the Bucs in cover 3 by the looks of it. So again, we may have a receiver up the seam. Instead, we hit Ladd McConkey underneath, and it is broken up this time by Raekwon McMillan. So it's going to bring up a 2nd and 10 as we approach the Bucs end zone. And we do find Wan'Dale Robinson underneath, and he has made an immediate impact for us. 3 receptions for 59 yards. He has come in and picked up on this offense immediately. To be fair, we only need him to do exactly what he is good at. He's playing only in the slot for us. We want him to be getting open on those shallow routes over the middle of the field, making players miss. And that's exactly what he's done here today. And we're just going to run a draw play here. I was tempted to try and find Ladd McConkey one-on-one on the outside, but instead just choosing to run the ball. And we're going to have to take a timeout here. I was running out of time, not getting the play in quickly enough. Did not want to take a 5-yard penalty there, so we do just about get the timeout in to prevent that from happening. But we have managed to get the Bucs into a look that we really like, and we are going to be able to run on them here if we can hold on to the block of Vita Vea for long enough. We do just that. Corey Lindsley is a match for any defensive tackle in the league, even Vita Vea. And Vea did have the beating of Corey Lindsley, but Lindsley managed to hold the block for just about long enough for J.K. Dobbins to squirm away. He squirmed away from a couple more Bucs defenders into the end zone, and we really needed those 7 points. 7 is so different from 3 in that situation, because now we go up by 2 touchdowns. There's 8 minutes left on the clock, and if our defense can continue to force the Buccaneers to punt away or otherwise give us the ball, then we are going to be in excellent shape to come away with the win here and get back above 500 on the season. So 1st and 10 for the Bucs and Baker Mayfield, and we have completely vacated that gap. Diane Hanley does well to get back across and make the tackle before Rashad White turns it into too big of a gain. But it's going to be a 2nd and 4 for the Bucs. We are just going to use the safety over the middle of the field, but instead the Bucs go deep, and it is a catch. And somehow Russell Gage breaks away from 2 Chargers defenders, and in less than a minute the Bucs put a touchdown of their own on the board. We were supposed to be defending the deep pass here in the second half of the game. The safety unable to get across before Gage was able to make the grab. Unable then to make the tackle. And with just over 7 minutes left on the clock, it's a touchdown game again all of a sudden. So we want to try and while away some of this clock. 3 points would be more than acceptable on this particular drive. Look at Kamani Vidal go. He will not go down, breaking all kinds of tackles as he gets up to the second level. And I see no reason why we shouldn't go back to the run with Kamani Vidal here. The Bucks seem to think the same though. Somehow Vidal manages to turn it into a 4-yard gain. But again, we're going to hope that Corey Linsley can hold this block on Vita Vea for long enough to allow J.K. Dobbins to find a bit of space. And again, that is exactly what he manages to do. Fresh set of downs for the Chargers. And we are just going to try and run as much of this remaining clock away as we can. Put at least 3 points on the board. And come away from Raymond James with a victory. So we will run the ball again here on 1st and 10. The Bucks do a better job of dealing with that. There was a bit of space for J.K. Dobbins to find, but he just tumbles backwards before he's able to exploit it. And I was tempted to run a screenplay here, but this front is too inviting to run on, or to not run on. And the Bucks have done a better job of dealing with our screens than most teams have this season. And indeed, it was an incredibly inviting front. And Kamani Vidal rips off another big gain. He's averaged over 10 yards per carry on the ground today. Immediately up to the second level, up to even the third level before he's touched. So approaching the Bucks red zone. And oh my good lord. There was about 5 Buccaneers in the backfield on that occasion. Led, of course, by Vita Vea. But he wasn't the only one to win immediately there. And we're going to have to get this pass away, or the snap away rather. Justin Herbert on the run, and he's going to outrun some Bucks defenders, and he's going to have a first down. And Justin Herbert slides out of bounds at the 12-yard line, brings up a fresh set of downs. That looked to be a disaster of a play for a moment. But we said before the season, I think we can do some Josh Allen type things with Justin Herbert. And he has proven that to be the case there. And we will try and punch this in for a touchdown. Can we get Lad McConkey opening in the end zone? We're going to try and hit him inside. Justin Herbert's got that all wrong. Tried to do a little bit too much there. I tried to high pass and to lead it inside. A bit too much, and it's an errant throw. So we'll just see what we can get on the ground instead on 2nd and 10. Corey Linsley again with a good block. J.K. Dobbins again manages to find about 5 yards. And it's going to be a real difficult decision if we get 3 or 4 yards here. But we will run the ball. We are going to wait for the clock to tick down inside 40 seconds so we can take it down to the 2-minute warning. What a block that is, Andrew Norwell. And the best of all possible circumstances. Like we saw earlier, there's a fraction of space between the first down marker and the end zone. J.K. Dobbins manages to stop right in that space. Brings up a fresh set of downs. Brings up the 2-minute warning. Gives us an opportunity to punch the ball in for a touchdown. I'm not sure that we want to do that immediately though, because we don't want to give the Bucks too much time on the clock. But I mean, even if we punch it in for a touchdown immediately, they're going to have under 2 minutes with 2 touchdowns the target. So I think we do just try and punch it in immediately. If the Bucks stop us, great. If they don't, then we put 7 points on the board. And Gus Edwards is stopped. The Bucks take a timeout. We will try the same again. So J.K. Dobbins back in for 2nd and goal. Again, he is swallowed up. This time back at the 2. The Bucks again use a timeout. And it's going to bring up a 3rd and goal. The Bucks in goal line. So we're going to struggle to punch it in. J.K. Dobbins takes it down. I thought he gained a yard there, but apparently not. But all 3 timeouts have been used by the Bucks. And I think we are just going to kick the field goal. So I was getting a little ahead of myself. Do we punch it in immediately or do we wait? We don't manage to punch it in at all. But we do manage to make it a 2-score game once more. 27 points is our total to just 17 of the Buccaneers. No timeouts remaining. So with 1:50, they need at the very least a touchdown and a field goal, and they're going to have to do it all utilizing the clock only via the sideline. This is where defend the deep pass is going to come in very handy, because we can just keep everything in front of us, protect the outside of the field, protect the sideline. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Mike Evans makes the grab, but inbounds, and it's not a huge gain for the Bucs. And this time they check down to Rashad White. Miles Jack comes up to make the tackle. Under 1.5 minutes now for the Buccaneers. And they are moving the ball, but not chunks at a time by any means. Cade Otton makes the grab this time. And this is going to bring them down inside a minute. And they are very much playing into our hands here, the Bucs. Good coverage this time. Really good coverage. And I almost had that. That was all kinds of defensive pass interference. The receiver tried to get open, and I pretty much just, like, crackback blocked him. But not called. So it's going to be a 2nd and 10. The clock does finally stop for the Bucs, but only because there's an incomplete pass. And fantastic coverage down the field. Can Khalil Mack get there? Yes, he can. Baker Mayfield is sacked. And that is going to be the dagger, surely, because the Bucs are now back in their own territory, and it's going to be a second sack on back-to-back plays. Joey Bosa this time. The final seconds of the clock run off, and our defense comes up big. Really, very much a balanced game here today. Offense was good, defense was good, and we managed to see the Bucs off 27-17 at their place. And it is going to condemn them to a 1-6 start to the season. So a pretty good game, to be fair. We did allow 313 yards, which is maybe a few more than you would like to see. 227 through the air. But we put up 362. 144 of those coming on the ground. And it was another nice game for Justin Herbert. Not spectacular by any means, but he managed the game in exactly the way that you like to see from high-level quarterbacks. 18 of 28 for 229, 64% completion, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Just took care of the ball, just did what he needed to do. We don't need the touchdowns to be spectacularly high if we're going to be putting the ball in the end zone on the ground. Rushing, rather. Decent enough game for J.K. Dobbins. Fairly efficient. 18 for 81, 4.5 yards a carry. 1 touchdown for him. Kamani Vidal ran rampant. Just 4 carries, but 46 yards for 11.5 per clip. And Justin Herbert was decent enough on the ground. Again, didn't do too much. Didn't do more than he needed to. But a couple of influential rushes in there. Hayden Hurst, what a day. Only 48 yards, but I mean, 48 yards for a tight end is not bad at all. And a lot of those were crucial conversions. 4 for 29 for J.K. Dobbins. But Quentin Johnston, 3 for 66. 3 for 59 for Wan'Dale Robinson. Just the 1 grab for Ladd McConkey today. But it did go for a touchdown. Defensively, Miles Jack, what a performance again. 14 tackles, 2 for loss. He had a sack. Should have had maybe 2 interceptions, just from what I can remember. Junior Colson again, 10 tackles, 3 for loss, 1 sack. Incredible performance. Miles Jack actually had the forced fumble as well. Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack shared 3 sacks evenly between them. Miles Jack also had a sack. So he had 14 tackles, 2 for loss, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, and 1 pass deflection as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see him win Defensive Player of the Week for the AFC. Junior Colson also had a sack, so his Defensive Rookie of the Year campaign continues. So we do move to 4-3 as we approach the midpoint of the season. We have hit the trade deadline as well, or at least our last opportunity to make trades ahead of the deadline. So it's going to be a big week next week. We have Mock Draft 2 to look at, as well as our Scouting National Focus to set. We'll probably check in on a handful of prospects as well and add some more of those to our horizontal big board. Let's see if it is Miles Jack, and it is Miles Jack, AFC Defensive Player of the Week last week with those 14 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble. We may even get to extending a handful of players next week as well. And of course, we will be trading away some players that we don't see in the future of this particular rebuild. Khalil Mack has had a decent season so far, but he may be one that we are looking to trade away. He does have 3.5 sacks so far this season and would be a decent addition for a real true contender. He's still superstar X Factor. 33 years of age though, just an 83 overall at this stage. And he is in the final year of his deal, so potentially we'll be looking to get the Von Miller trade package back for him. Corey Linsley as well, a player that potentially we'll be looking to move on from next week. So we'll look forward to that in the next episode. I hope to see you there. Take it easy.